Hi everyone, and welcome back to Jarissa Explains. I'm Marissa.
And I'm Jamie. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about meat falling from the sky.
We're talking about the Kentucky meat shower.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it was an anomaly that took place a very long time ago here in Eastern Kentucky. So stay tuned and here we go. On the morning of March 3rd, 1876, red chunks of meat fell from the sky in Bath County, Kentucky. The red chunks of meat were 2 to 4 inches and landed in a 100-yard stretch of land near the settlement of Olympia Springs. Locals examined the meat and even ate some of it, but could not come up with a finite answer as to why it fell from the sky.
So it's kind of crazy that people actually ate some of the meat when they had no clue where it even came from.
Well, back then, it was like 1876. Meat was a luxury and was scarce. Unless you were like really rich, I'm sure back then you'd go somewhere to get your meat from probably a butcher or something, or from a farmer, or you probably raised your own animals and slaughtered them yourselves, or went and fished and hunt on your own. But that's about as far as getting meat. This, to them, it was like, oh, payday, free meat's falling from the sky.
That's true. I didn't think of it like that.
Yeah, and they're like, well, maybe can we try it? Let's try and eat some of it and see if it's still good, you know?
I didn't think about how hard it was to come by meat back then.
Yeah.
It wasn't like just going to the grocery store. This is 1876 we're talking about.
Exactly, and they weren't as aware of bacteria and diseases as we are now, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. I wonder if anybody got sick from it.
I don't know. But it is interesting.
Some residents considered the event to have biblical influences, while others thought it could have been debris from a distant tornado. So, biblical influences, I feel like I could see how people would think that. They think like, it's a miracle, like we were starving and famished and now it's raining meat and this is just food for us.
That's a good point. They might have thought in that retrospect that it was probably a miracle, but you know, they would also probably thought the opposite, that it was probably a plague where like something bad was getting ready to happen, that this like it was one of the signs of the end of the world was getting ready to happen. Like, oh crap, meat's falling from the sky. What's going on? You know, everybody back then was very spiritual because you didn't really have a whole lot of scientific reasoning to stuff.
Yeah, and then a tornado. So a tornado would make sense, like maybe a cow got sucked up. I mean, that's gross, but like if a cow got sucked up in the tornado.
Exactly. Some other large livestock got torn apart and like the chunks were falling everywhere. These were just like little chunks of meat.
Yeah.
Like you had a big hunk of like the side of a cow or like a hoof. Or like a horn goes throwing, or a snout came falling down from the sky. You know, these are like little chunks of meat. So they're pretty distinct. And they all fell in this one area. So yeah, I mean, it probably was pretty scary at the time for a lot of these people just to see that thing happen all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Years later, Professor Kurt Goad at Transylvania University in Lexington, Kentucky, came up with an explanation for the meat shower. Goad claims that the meat was in fact vulture vomit. When vultures find dead meat in the wild, they usually gorge on the meat because they do not know when their next meal will be. In turn, meat is heavy and can keep the birds from reaching the altitudes they prefer during flight. So if a vulture had to fly away in a hurry, it would purge its stomach of any contents. Sometimes on the ground, and sometimes while mid-flight. Gold believes a group of vultures were feasting on a large meal and were suddenly startled that caused them to take flight and shower meat in Bath County.
Okay, gross.
They ate it!
So basically it was vomit.
Yeah, some people ate pieces of vulture vomit. It's what they pretty sure happened.
I mean, now hearing it, I mean, it makes sense, but yeah, I could see how nobody would understand that for a long time.
Oh, absolutely. Back then, people really didn't know how to explain it, and then later on down the line, we come up with the tools and the scientific reasoning to figure out what these things were.
Yeah, like they probably didn't have the knowledge about the vultures and like even think of that back then.
Exactly. Would you have eaten some of the meat?
No! Absolutely not.
Now you're trying to say at least in 1876 you're starving. You haven't had a decent meal in like a week. And you're telling me some random meat falls from the sky. You wouldn't think about taking a bite?
It makes me want to throw up. I mean, I could be a vegetarian, probably. Like, I'm not like that big of a meat eater. I'm sure I would have found something else to eat. Rather than just random meat that fell outside that I have no clue where it came from. It could be anything.
Oh no, don't get me wrong, it's highly suspect and I wouldn't have eaten it either. I just wanted to see where you landed on it.
Yeah, so mystery solved.
Yep, ladies and gentlemen, this one was pretty much debunked, but we thought it was an interesting thing that you all would like to hear.
And it happened right here in Kentucky.
Yep, the Bluegrass State. Whole lot of weird things go on around here.
See that. Alright, well that brings us to the end of today's video. We hope you've enjoyed this one. Let us know if there's anything you all want to see next.
Please do leave us some likes and subscribe and ring that bell for future notifications.
And you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Jarissa Explains.
Yep. And we just want to thank you all for watching this video and our Power Hours and all the videos and talking to us. And thanks for just being a part of the show.
Yeah, this community.
This community, that's a better way of putting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we will see you all in the next video.
Bye.
Bye.